Betting on that one? He's going to feel it.
Good evening. I have 6:05. I'll call to order this special meeting of the Columbus Common Council for Wednesday, March 28th, 2018. Whenever you're ready, could you please take a roll call, Megan?
Hendrickson is absent. Kenny?
Here.
Malat is absent. Reed?
Here.
Rule?
Here.
Tome?
Here.
Traxler?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. This meeting has been noticed in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. Next item is to approve the agenda for this evening. Unless there's any questions, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. Unfinished business this evening. Number one is consider and take action on a contract with Forest Landscaping and Construction Incorporated for the 2018 City Street Reconstruction Project. This is the main reason we're having the special meeting tonight. Bids were opened February 14th, and based upon the recommendation of Rupert Milkey for the low bid for Forest Landscaping and Construction Services, we were only waiting for the LRIP grant fund to be tied to this project before we could approve it. So Jason is here if anyone has questions for Jason. The one question I did have for Jason was the follow-up from our last meeting was breaking out the sewer cost from the street costs, just so we had those two items separated. If you don't mind, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I do have those numbers with me tonight. I apologize I didn't get them in your packet, but I know we kind of called this short notice here because of the LRIP approval. The amounts that turn out as part of the construction contract are $119,247 for South Water Street, which is 20% of the total contract cost associated with the construction activities. And School Street dollar value for the sewer utility is $58,444, which is about 18% of the total construction cost. What we do when we do put these pay requests into the city, we do have a summary sheet where we break all of that out for Kim, both for the water utility and the sewer utility, along with the street costs and some of the other items that she tracks for audit purposes. So we'll again be putting together those summary sheets as we always do as a cover page to the pay request. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that we did have the numbers calculated and we'd follow through like we would typically do.
Okay. Any other questions for Jason while he's up? All right, thank you, Jason. Unless there's any further questions, then I'll entertain any motion from the council.
Motion to approve Forest Landscaping and Construction for the 2018 City Street Reconstruction Project for the amount of $908,299.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Forest Landscaping and Construction for the 2018 City Street projects for the amount stated. Any questions on the motion? If none, we'll take a roll call on that, please.
Reed?
Aye.
Rule?
Aye.
Traxler?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you. On to number two then is consider and take possible action on task order 2018-06, which is for South Water Street and East School Street and utility improvements. We have the task order in our packet, and that's for the construction phase of the project in the amount of $62,316. Jason is here.
Yeah, likewise, again, I did have a chance to break out the costs. Because I broke it down by street for the construction, one was 18%, one was 20%. I just averaged the two together to get 19%. So 19% of our proposed fee would work out to be $11,840. So associated with the construction portion, $11,840 would be broken out on the invoicing as it's submitted for the engineering services that would be applicable to the wastewater utility.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jason?
I'm
Matt?
sorry, Jason, I didn't catch that number. What was it again?
$11,840. And again, I just used the 19%
Rough,
as the
yeah,
average.
okay.
Correct. And normally what'll happen is, obviously, as the actual contract numbers come in, we'll true up that percent. It'll fluctuate maybe 0.5% either way, but our final invoice will just reflect the breakdown for Kim so she can get it allocated properly.
Okay. Any other questions for Jason?
Yeah.
Andy, go ahead.
Just one more question here. Is it schedule? Are you still on schedule to start construction on April 23rd?
Yeah, great question, Andy. Right now, with the approval of the contract tonight, the next step for us is to issue the notice of award to the contractor for the construction piece of it. That will take a little time to execute the contracts and get the bonds in place and have a pre-construction meeting. That's kind of the next steps. I would anticipate that taking us a couple weeks. That's pretty standard stuff just to get things routed around and get all that taken care of. I know with this contractor, we've actually hand-delivered stuff back and forth, and, proximity-wise, we can speed up the process a little bit. The other thing that we are kind of waiting on is, tentatively, we still have our archaeological review for our DNR permit. That's been pending. My understanding is that report's been written and it's been provided back to the DNR for consideration. That permit has been in for quite some time now, so I'm assuming that's just the final piece of it. I'm hoping that over the course of the next couple weeks, we can rectify that and get that final permit issued. So while the contracting is taking place, we're wrapping up the permitting. I would say, again, weather pending. It's nice out, but we do have some cold weather and some other rainy days maybe ahead in the forecast. My best guess right now is shooting for the week of, I think it's April 16th, as kind of a week to start. I don't know if it'll be the beginning of that week or the end of that week, but my goal or my hope is that we'll get those 2 weeks and we'll be able to hopefully move things along and be ready to start. If it slips into that third week, and again, I can't speak for the contractor right now based off a schedule and exact start date, but that's where I'm hoping we're at.
All right, and it's been a while, since we did a project, and that wasn't a state project, so are we notifying the homeowners of the actual start date, or do we just have this tentative date now? And
Well, right now, we really don't have a good handle on that. I know Patrick has been reaching out more recently to kind of get the people affected kind of thinking about it again, just because there hasn't been a lot of conversations occurring. I think once we firm up that date, which we'll probably know, as soon as I send out the notice of award, I'll kind of check with the contractor as far as just a tentative start date. He'll have a final schedule for us eventually, so we'll know exactly when we're starting. But I think that's certainly a piece that we'll be communicating. I know we had talked with my approval of my task order here that we'd be working closely with JT and Patrick to try and enhance the communication and continue to try and do that outreach that we've kind of done on the last phase when we were over here by Mill Street. So my hope is that as soon as we know a little bit more in the next week or so, that we're going to start ramping that up and getting that word out so people know. Certainly, I don't think there's going to be any interruptions to utilities for some time. I mean, there will be a couple weeks of utility construction work that we'll be embarking on. So they'll see the activity there first. The other thing that I know with this contractor that we had a lesson learned on our last job was the last contractor come in and kind of I don't want to use the word blow up, but they tore the entire road to pieces and they made just a mess out of it. I know this contractor that we're working with now is fully aware that we're not interested in doing that. We're trying to preserve the pavement and the access as much as we can. History tells me this contractor has done a good job on projects I've worked with of trying to do that, to preserve that access and stuff. So I'm hoping, knock on wood, that we're going to get a lot smoother operation, and so it's not going to be such a shock when everybody shows up and digging starts. So long answer is, I don't know. Short answer is, we're looking maybe 2-3 weeks out.
thank you.
Any other questions for Jason? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion from the council for the task order.
I'll make a motion to approve task order 2018-6 South Water and East School Street utility and East School Street and utility improvements.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve task order 2018-06. Any discussion on the motion? If none, could we please take a roll call on that?
Rule?
Aye.
Traxler?
Aye.
Malat?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Reed? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. On to number, oh, sorry. Have a good night, Jason. Thank you. On to number 3 then, consider and take possible action on a field use agreement with the Columbus Area Youth Soccer Organization, CASO, for spring 2018. There is no information in the packet, so I'll just turn it over to Patrick so you can kind of give the council an update
Sure.
since the last meeting.
So, at the last committee of the whole, the discussion, there was information given to CASO on the needs, the information we needed to further the request for a field use agreement, and the thought was if those things could be met by this meeting, we could take them up, but those things have not been met yet, so that hence no information for you, and no action would be needed at this point.
Okay. Andy, did you have a question?
Yeah, wasn't there a timeline issue that they were dealing with, that maybe Amy Jo, or maybe not? I know there was a timeline issue that one of the parties had.
I just by looking outside and knowing it's soccer time, I think there's that issue, but
Maybe schedule
I'm-
already issued.
that could be. But at this point, we haven't received the information that would make us take any action at this point. So,
Matt?
I have a question for Amy Jo, if you're available to come on up. Come on down. Hi. I know one of the things we kind of talked about at the last meeting about this was Paul coordinating with you about scheduling. What has been the outreach so far from him to talk to you about rec schedule versus his and to get everything kind of figured out?
He has contacted me.
Okay.
I did provide the schedule to Patrick yesterday, but Paul didn't reach out to me at all for scheduling.
Okay. So you have your schedule set, and it was set as of the last meeting we had.
Correct.
And then and Patrick's aware of that, but to date right now, you haven't heard anything from him in regards to coordination, and we have nothing from him in regards to coordination and submittal on to the city itself. So
Correct.
as far as we're concerned, there's nothing. We don't have anything right now.
I had some back and forth with him on the insurance, just to remind him of the name on the insurance.
Which was, I think, a sticking point for
Right.
too. Yeah.
Right, and he had responded he was working on that, but wasn't complete with that yet.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Amy Jo.
Yep.
Any other questions from the council? I guess we can take no action, but I want to know how the council would like to proceed. Do we leave this on the agenda for the next scheduled meeting, which obviously we couldn't, get this accomplished tonight, but doesn't mean that we aren't going to have to deal with this or hope that things can get put together, moving forward.
I guess I would be of the opinion to keep it on the agenda, on the docket, so to speak, and see if we can, it might just be timing issues in life, I don't know, but eventually the time's going to run out of the sand's going to run out of the hourglass.
All right. Trina? Your microphone.
Yeah, I'm comfortable leaving it on the agenda. Hopefully, we'll see some progress soon. My question is, what happens if times run out and they're still trying to use the city park? Then what is our next step?
Okay. So do you want that on the regular agenda for April 10th then? Okay, so then if things are ready, we can take action at that meeting. All right, any other questions for anybody on that? All right, if none then, thanks all for showing up for this special meeting so we could kind of keep the ball rolling on the, on the street reconstruction projects and keeping that timeline together. So thanks for showing up for the meeting. Unless there's anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Right after I texted you, Rod, and Trina comes like strutting in.
Yeah.